Welcome back to Never Did It. I'm Jake Ziegler. I'm here with my co-host Brad Garoon. On Never Did It, we have looked back at over a century of movies, recommending a title for each other, one from each year that the other hadn't seen, and then having a lively, spirited discussion about them. We ended up going a little bit over 100 years because we started this project in 2022. So our first film, our earliest film, would have been 1923. But then as the podcast went on and we kept recording, we had to add in the years 2023. And then 2024, which we'll be talking about a little bit later today too. So, and then there was a couple of years where we just couldn't contain the number of movies we wanted to watch or recommend to each other. So we ended up in our first season of Never Did It covering 210 movies that we would consider Never Did It's, and we've reached the end.
I'm so sad, except the podcast will continue.
Yes.
And we know how now, so that's exciting. We know what we're doing. Yeah, 210. We really went overboard there. A couple of trios, couple of quadros. And today, we're going to pick up right where we left off last week. We're going to rank our top movies of 2024, because we did our 2024 episode last week. And then we're going to rank our top 20 movies each of Never Did It to see if we liked the movies that the other person recommended and the ones that we recommended. Spoiler alert, we did. Jake, why don't you give us your top 20 movies of 2024 to start? Strike that.
Okay.
Top 10 of 2024.
Okay. Yeah, let's do top 10. So I'm just going to run. I actually have quite a few honorable mentions here, so I'm going to run through them very quickly. I thought 2024 was, surprise, another great year. I say that about every year because I love movies. The honorable mentions I have: Io Capitano, His Three Daughters, Saturday Night, Mars Express, Juror Number 2, Challengers, the tennis film, Nosferatu, September 5, Hitman, which has just, what a delightful performance from Mr. Glenn Powell. I loved him in that so much. Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, that was great. Mike Leigh's Hard Truths, the Best Animated Feature winner Flow, Pope Drama Conclave, Alex Garland's Civil War, and the latest version of The Count of Monte Cristo are all the films that would make my honorable mentions just outside of the top 10.
Awesome. So some of those I'll talk about in more detail because a few of them made it into my top 10.
Excellent. Good. My number 10 is a film that I saw because I'm a voter for the Independent Spirit Awards. It's called Green Border, and it's takes place in the border between Belarus and Poland, and it's just a horrifying envisioning of what that is like, trying to cross the border into another country in Eastern Europe. It's shot kind of like a documentary. It's kind of got that docu feel. Certainly owes a debt to Battle of Algiers. It was one of the movies that we discussed. Did you see Green Border?
No, I saw trailers for it when I went to see movies at the Film Forum, and I really wanted to. I just never got to it.
That's one of the ones I'm glad was a Spirit nominee, so that I was able to watch it. I almost recommended it for you for 2024, but I wanted to do I'm Still Here instead. My number 9 is another international film. This one is from Germany, but it's about a family in Iran. It's called The Seed of the Sacred Fig. I think this is another one that you would actually really like. One of the best best international film nominees. My number 8, Jesse Eisenberg's A Real Pain, with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. I really enjoyed this movie, loved their relationship. Number 7 is a movie we talked about at great length last week, is Walter Salles' I'm Still Here. Number 6 is a movie I've also talked about before, James Mangold's A Complete Unknown. I'm a complete Bob Dylan fanatic. I've got I think 50 or 60 Bob Dylan CDs in various box sets just off to my left here, and books and films and all that other kinds of stuff sitting here in my office. So big Bob Dylan fan. I thought Chalamet was great. Edward Norton as Pete Seeger was great. Monica Barbaro as Joan Baez was great. Elle Fanning was great in this movie. It's just, if you like Mangold movies, especially if you like Walk the Line, it's very similar to Walk the Line. Well done, well acted, musical biopic.
Are you more excited or nervous for the Springsteen biopic?
I'm not really nervous. I mean, if it's bad, so what?
I was just wondering because when I saw Complete Unknown, I was like, oh, Jake would have liked this no matter what, because there's just so much music in it. And that's why I liked it, frankly.
It's part of why I like it, yeah.
Deliver Me From Nowhere, I don't know how much music's going to be in it, and Jeremy Allen White certainly sounds like Springsteen, but I saw that trailer and I thought this movie looks pretty bad. I'm just curious if you'll be in the bag for it or if you're going to bump up against it.
I mean, I will just say that in general, I'm excited for it. I know Springsteen has been pretty involved with it himself. He was on set a bunch, and I know he and Jeremy Allen White actually spoke, unlike Timothy Chalamet and Bob Dylan, who did not actually connect. The other Bob said something about him, but they never really connected as far as we know. So Bruce was involved in this, and I've liked the director, the same guy who did Crazy Heart, which I thought was pretty good. And I think he's made another movie that I liked, and then another couple of movies that were pretty meh. So it could go either way, but I might tend to be, I don't know if I'd say I'm in the bag for it, but I'm certainly excited for it. I think, Jeremy Allen White's good casting, and I think it's an interesting time in Bruce's life, and I love that album, Nebraska, that it's based on. So yeah, I'd say I'm excited for it at this point.
Cool. I like the film Nebraska.
That was why the album is called called that. We're into the top 5 now. Number 5 is The Wild Robot. This movie just moved me in ways I didn't expect it to when I saw it, and I think back fondly on it very often. Number 4 is both the Palme d'Or and Best Picture winner Anora, with a just brilliant star-making performance from Mikey Madison, and everybody else is just fantastic in this movie too. Really funny, really sad, just well acted, just a great movie. My number 3 is Dune Part 2, which is just as good as Dune Part 1, if not a little better. Bardem is amazing in this. I mean, Chalamet does another good job in this too. He's in 2 of my top 6 movies of the year. How about it? So yeah, I liked a lot of that. I'm really excited for Dune 3, which will not be called Dune Messiah. I don't know, are people going to be mad about that? Are nerds going to be pissed?
I entered the chat for that recently. I thought someone be like, "Oh, I can't believe it's not called Dune Messiah." And I replied, "You are going to be so glad it's not called Dune Messiah when it comes out, because it is not going to look like that book. Because that book is bonkers, and there's no way Denis Villeneuve is adapting it directly. He is going to change a lot. He changed a lot about Dune Part 2. He's going to change even more about Dune Messiah."
Brings us to my number 2 is Sing Sing with Coleman Domingo and Clarence Macklin. I think those are 2 of the best performances of the year. Again, this film just really moved me, watching the journey that those men go on and what they have to go through on a day-to-day basis. Just thought it was really wonderful, really a beautiful movie. And then my number 1 is a movie you and I have talked about on this podcast before, is Brady Corbet's The Brutalist, which I think had great performances up and down. Just an amazing story. The production design, the cinematography, the score, all of it was so good. I don't know, I think this movie somehow got underrated.
I was at a party recently, and someone was complaining about the movie Anora. He hadn't seen it, but he was complaining about it. He was like, "I don't know, he's like, it won Best Picture. I don't know about that." And I said, "Well, fair enough, because The Brutalist probably should have won Best Picture." I love Anora. The Brutalist is, oh my God, what a big balls movie. My top 5 has a lot of big balls movies in them. As did yours.
I agree, Brutalist probably should have won Best Picture, but it's still cool to see a movie about what Anora is about and made the way Anora was made, to get that kind of Oscar recognition. I think that's still kind of cool.
Yeah, I don't have Oscar backlash. Like I don't get mad at the movies that won the Oscar, but I think if you are the kind of person who does, then The Brutalist is right there for you. So yeah. There's your Pulp Fiction, there's your Saving Private Ryan.
There you go.
I have a ton of honorable mention. We keep our top and year-end lists differently. I do anything over 4 stars makes my list. So I have 29 honorable mentions. I'll go through them really fast. Four Souls of the Coyote, which is a really interesting animated film by Aaron Gowder, who is not Native American, but made a movie about Native American mythology. I'd love to watch this with Megan and just, learn a little bit about like what is culture vultured here and what isn't, but it's the visuals of this movie are incredible. Pretty sure you can stream it for free on Prime now. I said I'd do this fast, but I talked too much about that one. I don't know how to pronounce this. Mayazagan, an Indian movie by C. Prem Kumar. I think it's on Hulu or Tubi. Jim Henson, Idea Man, which was directed by Ron Howard. Very good documentary about Jim Henson. Didi, which was Sean Wang's feature debut. Nosferatu by Robert Eggers. Baby Girl, the Nicole Kidman movie. Sirocco and the Kingdom of the Winds by Benoit Shaw, a really cool French/Belgian production animated movie. You mentioned Challengers from Luca Guadagnino. That's on my honorable mentions. Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul from Nick Park and Merlin Crossingham. Memoir of a Snail from Adam Elliott. Those are both stop motion animated. Godzilla Kong, The New Empire. Just the most fun Godzilla movie in forever by Adam Wingard. I love Godzilla -1. Don't get me wrong. I like it more than this, but I had such a blast watching Godzilla Kong. We talked about it in our Godzilla episode. A really cool short animated movie from Kiyotaka Oshiyama called Look Back, which I saw in the theater and had to add an interview with the director at the end because it was too short to be a feature that people would buy a ticket to. Love Lies Bleeding from Rose Glass. Really cool noir. A Complete Unknown, which you mentioned. September 5th from Tim Fellbaum. Conclave from Edward Berger. Edward Berger, I think, is about to be one of the biggest directors ever. His next movie is probably also going to be huge. Problemista from Julio Torres. I think this is his feature debut. And what a cool, funny movie. And Tilda Swinton is just the best. My Old Ass from Megan Park, which is the movie that my wife talks about the most from last year. She recommends it to everyone, and everyone who watches it loves it. Oh, a movie I almost recommended for you for our 2024 episode of Never Did It. Evil Does Not Exist from Yusuke Hamaguchi. Can't wait for you to watch this movie. It's so bizarre. I need to talk the ending with you. His Three Daughters, you mentioned, I think was on your honorable mentions list. The Netflix movie directed by Azazel Jacobs. Really cool. Hundreds of Beavers, which we talked about at great length last week. Saturday Night from Jason Reitman. I think Jason Reitman's still on a tear. And I'll watch anything with Rachel Sennett. You mentioned, I think this was in your top 10, Alex Garland's Civil War. Really cool movie, or maybe it fell just outside your top 10. Amazing movie about journalism. A movie you don't like that I did a brief review of on our channel, La Cochina, from Alonso Rios Palacios. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. And then this was originally in my top 10, but we talked about it so much last week that I'm moving it into my honorable mentions, Red Rooms from Pascal Plante, so that I can talk more about my number 10 movie of the year, The Colors Within by Naoko Yamada. I am not the biggest fan of Naoko Yamada's other movies. I think that they're like Liz and the Bluebird and A Silent Voice, both. A Silent Voice I liked, and Liz and the Bluebird I didn't really like. Colors Within I think is like next level YA for the girls anime. Saw this in the theater. The music's incredible. The way it's animated is so unique. The color palette is so, it's not neon. It's actually quite matte, but it just looks so interesting. And I just got it on Blu-ray, and I was so excited to get that one. It's such a cool movie. Can't wait for you to watch it. My number 9 is John Crowley's We Live in Time. I did finally get to watch Brooklyn. I watched it on an airplane. You're muted, but I see that you're saying, what did I think? I liked it a lot. Perfect airplane movie. I was like, I got misty at just the right time and embarrassed about being sad on an airplane at just the right time. We Live in Time, I thought was like next level. I was so engaged. I was the only person in my theater. I got a private screening of We Live in Time in Secaucus, New Jersey. Just loved it. Florence Pugh, so great, so lovable. Andrew Garfield, I think this is his best performance. Perfect movie told out of chronological order. By the way, this is not piss. This is tea. So for those asking.
Looks like piss.
Big recommend for We Live in Time. I know that some people think it's a little schmaltzy. Those people are wrong.
That's, in some cases, that's a feature, not a bug.
But it's like intense love. It's not, they're not just like frou-frou about each other. The ending is a little bit schmaltzy. I'll give you that. But that's why it's number 9 and not number 3. Well, it was never going to be number 3, but that's why it's number 9. My number 8 is Ginz Zobolotis' Flow. I'm obsessed with this film. I was so stoked to pre-order the 4K Criterion because it also comes with Ginz Zobolotis' Away, which was his first feature film, also in 4K. Both great movies. My cat is the cat from Flow. The cat doesn't have a name because there's no dialogue in this movie about a cat that survives a flood. Just watch it. It's so lovely. My number 7 is A Real Pain. So I've gone back and forth on this movie. When I saw it, I was like, 5-star masterpiece. I am both of these guys. I love Jesse Eisenberg's Real Pain. He and Kieran Culkin are perfect, and the secondary characters are all wonderful. And then like a month or two later, I was like, I overrated that. I didn't like it as much. And I've come all the way back around to thinking, no, this is a great movie. Just from talking to people about what I love about it. The scene where Culkin is freaking out in the restaurant. The ending. There's only one scene I don't like. And it's a thing I don't like that Eisenberg does a lot. I don't think Eisenberg can convincingly cry or talk while he's crying. And he has this like very emotional rooftop scene where he cries. And I didn't love that. But everything else in this movie I think is wonderful. The way that they deal with their grandmother's apartment when they finally find it. It's so funny. It's so sweet. Great movie. I was glad that it was in your top 10 also. My number 6 is The Count of Monte Cristo. I'm not going to go into great detail about what I think about The Count of Monte Cristo because me and Brandon Treadway did a 35-minute review of this movie on the podcast. So you can go listen to that or find it on our YouTube channel where you can see our pretty faces talking about it. But needless to say, this is the best adaptation of that story. And it is such a cool Batman Begins-esque epic. This guy made a Nolan movie. It's so cool. My number 5 is The Wild Robot. So epic. The first 20 minutes of that movie is basically a Mad Max movie with the robot surviving on this new island. I couldn't believe how propulsive the first 20 minutes of that movie were. Incredible stuff. Our top 5 is very similar. You had Wild Robot at number 5. You had Anora at number 4. I have Anora at number 4. I said I think that The Brutalist should have won Best Picture, which spoils my number 1, but I loved Anora. I have a poster of it in my movie room. My neighbors worked on it, or one of my neighbors worked on it, and I think she did a wonderful job. She was the prop master on that movie. It deserves all the love that it got. My number 3 is the only place where our top 5 differs. I have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga from George Miller. On my birthday this year, Laszlo just flew. On my birthday this year, I watched Furiosa and Fury Road back to back. I love doing that, and I don't think it matters what order you watch it in because the movies sort of like work in this circle. 2 great 5-star movies that are just different enough, not in their palette, but Furiosa is like a fairy tale storybook that is told in chapters and earns that chapter structure that it has. And then Fury Road is just one heart-pounding chase. Crazy stuff. My number 2 is Dune Part 2, a perfect sequel. If you ask me, a perfect number 2. It has a really scary conclusion, and I too cannot wait for Dune Part 3. And a little sad that Villeneuve is following this up with James Bond, because he has these other movies that were in production that seemed cool and unique. Hopefully he'll only do one Bond movie and then move on to something else. I just don't want him stuck in franchise after franchise, because Arrival is so cool, and Enemy is so cool, and Prisoners is so cool, and Ansandi is so great, Sicario is so great. Like, this guy, Nolan and Villeneuve, are the insane Gen X directors that are still making giant movies, and, you know, Edward Berger's like right up behind them, making big, interesting movies. And I don't want him to become James Cameron. Basically, I don't want him like stuck in this stuff forever. And the Avatar movies are good, but come on. And then my number one is The Brutalist, which for me, it's The Godfather. I mean, it's like that kind of movie for me. And The Godfather, Tar, there are certain movies that just feel, they feel important. They feel like they're going to express something to me that will be relevant for the rest of my life. The Brutalist really did that for me. Adrian Brody's, I think he's great, period. And he hasn't made all great movies. He's in a lot of bad movies, but this one is not one. And Felicity Jones is incredible. And a lot of people talk about her as the weak point of the movie. I disagree. And of course, Guy Pearce, an amazing villain, a perfect villain for our time. And so, yeah, that's it. That's my top 20.
A lot of your honorable mentions too would have been in like a little bit lower on my list. I counted up my 4-star movies. I had like 44 more movies that were 4 stars, so I couldn't go through all of my 4-star movies, but a lot of them that you had on yours, like My Old Ass was on there for me. I liked Tuesday. I saw the TV Glow, Late Night with the Devil.
I didn't love Tuesday. Kind of bummed me out. I didn't see Late Night with the Devil. Oh, did I mention? I think I just totally skipped. I skipped a bunch of movies in my honorable mentions that are like high up. Yes, Sing Sing is in my honorable mentions.
Oh yeah,
have to mention it. Hitman is in my honorable mentions. Have to mention it. Mars Express.
Yeah, you love Mars Express.
Loved Mars. These are right above His Three Daughters. My eyes glitched and I went from His Three Daughters to Hundreds of Beavers, but I skipped 4 movies. And the 4th one is Strange Darling, which is such a great movie. And have you seen it?
No, I haven't yet.
That was the other one that was going to be the movie I recommended for you for 2024. We would have had a lot to talk about. Still want you to, we should do another 2024 episode.
Yeah. Dee Dee would have been on my list too. Heretic, I really liked. Piano Lesson, All We Imagine Is Light, Nickel Boys, I thought was good. Fire Inside was good. Well, Memoir of a Snail was on mine too. And A Different Man, I'm not sure if I mentioned that. The Outrun with Saoirse Ronan. I had We Live in Time was a 4-star for me. So yeah, I had a ton of movies I really liked last year.
Incredible year. Let's talk about past years.
Yes.
And for this, we'll do a top 20 because we watched 210, like you said, 210 movies for Never Did It season 1. There were only a few movies that we watched for Never Did It that I disliked. And they were Never Say Never Again, which is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, No Holds Barred, Popeye, The Last Command, Thunderball, Big Fat Liar, and then 2 really controversial ones that I didn't like that everyone else loves, Breathless and Nosferatu. The original. So those ones I didn't like. Were there any that you just straight up didn't like?
The one, yeah. There was one I really didn't like, the Albert Brooks. Yeah, Real Life. I really didn't like Real Life, which surprised me because I was so, I was ready to like that movie. I love Albert Brooks, and, you speak so glowingly about it. I was really ready to like that one, and I was honestly kind of upset that I didn't. And some of the ones that I recommended for you, too, that you mentioned, as being not so good, I agree with that. There was just certain scenarios where I just couldn't recommend anything else just because of what I had seen or hadn't seen. So, yeah, a couple that I had given 2 stars. Oh, like No Holds Barred that I recommended for you, but there were other reasons for that. Moonraker, I didn't particularly care. Never Say Never Again is pretty bad. Bring It On, I gave 2 stars, was one of the ones that you'd given me that I thought was pretty bad. Green Street Hooligans was another 2-star for me. I really did not care for that movie.
Popeye you didn't like.
Popeye I had, what did I have it, 2? Is that in my 2.5? Oh, yeah, I gave it 2.5. Breathless, same, was 2.5. 3 Idiots was a 2.5 for me. 10 Commandments from 1923. Zack Snyder's Justice League. And another one I'd recommended for you that I don't particularly like is Scorsese's New York, New York. So, there's a few, but over 210 movies, that's a pretty small amount.
Yeah, way more that we liked. We were going over it before we came on, but over 100 movies that we gave 4 stars or more to each. So we wouldn't be recommending so many bad movies. A lot of these bad movies we recommended were out of necessity because we hadn't seen anything else that year. Just perverse curiosities like No Holds Barred.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go over our top 20s. Let's go back and forth. We never do that. We used to do it in the very beginning, but let's do it again. Jake, you're going to give me the list of your favorite movies that I recommended for you, and I will do the same, which is not how I originally understood this assignment. So I just had to quickly rearrange my list, but luckily I've got nowhere to be tonight. Let's go back and forth since none of our movies will overlap. All right, so hit me. What is your number 20 movie that I recommended for you?
Well, I had 20 movies exactly at 5 stars. This was a perfect kind of list for me. And number 20 was a movie that you didn't technically recommend for me, but since we did Barbie Oppenheimer on the weekend it came out and did that as our 2023 episode, I'm considering both of those movies. And Barbie was a 5-star good time for me. So that's number 20.
Got it. I didn't love Barbie as much. It didn't make my top anything. I think it's a good movie, but clearly not. My wife is obsessed with it. Great. That's who it's for. It's funny because when we did this originally, I had Oppenheimer in this spot. Sad I didn't get to put it in here. Maybe it shows up for you later since neither of us recommended movies for each other. But yeah, Barbie's solid. My number 20 movie that you recommended for me is Federico Fellini's La Dolce Vita. Yeah, so cool. I'm so glad you recommended 3 Fellini movies during the course, which we'll get into our stats. Later on, the actor-actress stats are very interesting, although very reflective of us being boys. But this one's so great. Just a guy like breaking down because he has it all. And I can't get out of my head this amazing camera mounted on a hood of a car while people are driving drunk down the street, and I'm like a banned cars guy, and still I thought that was like the coolest shot ever.
Very cool. My number 19 is the Harold Lloyd silent comedy Safety Last. It's one where he's hanging off the clock off the side of the building. Some amazing stunts in this one, just some really funny stuff. One of the silent comedies. We've talked about numerous times how silent comedies hold up better than silent dramas. This is a very good example of that.
That was something I wanted to mention last week when we talked about Hundreds of Beavers. I love silent comedies. I don't love all the silent dramas. Just a little bit ago, I crapped on Nosferatu. Hundreds of Beavers is like right in that. They made 2 movies. Their silent movie is so much better than their not silent movie. I recommended that. I hadn't seen that one yet either. I hadn't seen anything from that year. I just wanted to watch it. So that's how that got there. My number 19 that you recommended for me, Andrei, I do not know how to pronounce this name. Andrei Zvaginstev's. Do you know how to pronounce it? Andrei Zvaginstev's Leviathan, the 2014 movie about a man in Russia whose house is being repossessed by the town, this corrupt mayor. You don't find out until the end of the movie for what and how this guy's life sort of falls apart around him and his little community. Great movie. Feels very epic despite being about a very small thing. The environment is so cool, and it's also just like really about Russia, and it's shocking that this guy has been allowed to live after making such an indictment of Russian culture in this film.
Speaking of people letting other people live, my number 18, Charlie Chaplin in The Great Dictator, which is just one of the great Chaplin performances. It's so funny and just so like visually cool. Yeah, I was so glad that I had seen this one. I've been meaning to see it for such a long time. He really took it to old Adolf there, didn't he?
You recommended Modern Times for me, right?
I did. Yep, that's the one I'd seen.
My number 18 is Anton Corbijn. I actually think this is too low on my list, but this is where I have it ranked right now. And the more I think about this movie, the more I love it. We talked about this 2010 movie with Mike Tanzillo, who came on the show. He didn't like it as much as us. He's wrong. And actually defending it made me like it even more. This was a movie that was obviously panned because its marketing was not reflective of the movie that it was. And I think this might be George Clooney's best performance because he shows he can do a lot with like very, very few lines, very little emotion. And he's incredible in it. It's one of the great, it's not a spy thriller because he's not a spy. So I guess it's one of the great like Hitman movies, and it's just very quiet and it's very French.
Yep, I was so glad you liked that one. That one really made me happy.
Loved it. Honestly, it might be 5 stars for me. No one has this rated at 5 stars on Letterboxd. There are only 745 5-star ratings for this movie, which has been seen 58,000 times.
Wow. Well, a lot of people out there underrating it.
Yep.
All right. Well, that brings us to number 17. Mine is Faust, one of the Murnau movies. Yes, one of the 3 Murnau movies that we covered on the podcast. This one has some really cool special effects for the time, interesting, engaging stories, some really cool performances. A highlight of the silent years, I think, that we covered.
I'm glad you picked that one because I did want there to be some like silent drama representation on these lists. So I'm glad that worked out. Okay, my number 17 is Spike Jonze adaptation, written by Charlie Kaufman. I have no mixed feelings about Spike Jonze. I have some mixed feelings about Charlie Kaufman, mostly because of the movie Synecdoche, New York, and a little bit because of Orion in the Dark. But these guys are such a great team. I want them to get back together so badly. Nicolas Cage doing something a little bit different, but getting to do a lot of it because he's playing 2 different characters here. And I think that we talked about this, but there's a read of this movie where they're not 2 different characters, but they're just 2 different aspects of the same character. Just so great. Wow. I could gush forever. Honestly, this wasn't even supposed to be in my list, but I realized I numbered it wrong, and it was very easy for me to slot it in here. It's such a cool movie.
Nice job. I'll go to number 16. It's another silent comedy that we did. This is Sherlock Jr. It's short. I think this was only like 55 minutes or something. I don't even think it was an hour. And I was laughing out loud like through a lot of it. These silent comedies age really well. There's just some really funny visual bits in it. It's about a projectionist, so I identify with the movie part of it. It's just a lot of fun. Ton of fun.
Buster Keaton, obviously. So we said last week, I'm going to talk about Hundreds of Beavers every time a silent comedy comes up. But we talked last week about how The Gold Rush is the obvious comp for Hundreds of Beavers, but Buster Keaton's physical comedy is pretty clearly what Ryland Twos was doing in Hundreds of Beavers. Chaplin and Lloyd were both very physical, but Keaton was really putting his life on the line with a lot of these stunts. Crazy stuff, and they just did it, as we like to say.
They just did it.
My number 16 is a great example of how the end of my list is sort of like out of order, because The American is definitely better than this movie, but I love this movie. It's Bullets Over Broadway. I just really wanted to have some Woody Allen representation because he's also one of the guys that's been on this list a lot. Mm-hmm. Don't take this as us saying Woody Allen's a good guy. He's just a great filmmaker that now gets ignored a lot because he's a terrible person. But these films don't stop being great. I was just talking to a friend recently about how and I know you love it, Deconstructing Harry is just a terrific movie. Bullets Over Broadway is one that I hadn't seen that you'd seen. And John Cusack, who I also think is kind of a lunatic. Anyway, he's amazing in this movie, as is Diane Wiest, as is Jennifer Tilly, as is Chaz Palminteri. I mean, it's just so good from soup to nuts and tip to butts.
All right, so my number 15 then is a movie you recommended for me that I ended up liking much more than you, because I am a guy who likes movies with earnestness, and this movie is about the most earnest that ever earnest. This is Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. I really fell for this movie and for the feeling of it and the old timiness of it, I guess. It's like really feels like a product of that era, but in a way that still spoke to me today.
Okay, I give it 4.5 stars, just because you gave it 5.
I thought it was less. I'm sorry.
Relax. I like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
I just remember it differently in my head.
It is one that I'm like, oh God, it's so schmaltz. It's so Frank Capra. So, but that's fine. My number 15 is Stop Making Sense, which was directed by Jonathan Demme and starring everyone's favorite goofball, who I just heard the best story about. The best David Byrne story ever. I'm going to share it, even though it's not mine to share. I don't know if I'm allowed to share this. So we had a barbecue here for the 4th of July, and one of my friends came over, and her brother is in a band that used to tour with David Byrne. David calls him up. I'm not going to name the band and I'm not going to name the guy, but David calls the guy up and he goes, "My underwear is wet. Do you think if I put it in the microwave, it will dry?" It wasn't wet because I think he got rained on and he just had wet underwear. He didn't have another one. Byrne is a strange guy. "If I put it in the microwave, will it get dry or will it burn?" This guy's like, I don't know, man. Only one way to find out. He gets a call back a couple hours later, just as I feared. Hot and wet. Anyway, Stop Making Sense is like the coolest concert film. The timing worked out perfectly. It was playing. It was an anniversary screening. I got to see it in IMAX and it was amazing, even though the guy sitting next to me had bad BO. And we all danced and grooved and sang, and it was a wonderful experience. Recommend to anyone if it's coming to a theater near you.
Number 14 for me is one of the many Hitchcock movies that we covered on this one. The one I probably liked the most, Dial M for Murder. Just a series of great performances, some great twists, classic Hitchcock stuff. Just awesome movie. My wife really liked this one too.
My number 14 is Modern Times. I originally had The Great Dictator here because I forgot who recommended it for who. So here's another Chaplin. I don't know. Is it my favorite of the three? The Great Dictator is probably my favorite of the three, but this one's great. And I am obsessed with the way that Chaplin used this movie to transition himself out of silent film, because it is a silent film for the most part. But then at the end of the movie, he does a song and dance. And it's just cool that he had this meta moment because, this came out after the silent film era had ended. And he's basically just saying like, fine, I'll do what you want me to do. And then I recently went and watched Monsieur Verdot, his later, not a murder, it's a con man movie, basically. It's kind of like Sweeney Todd without the camp. And it's good, but it's not as good as the movies he was making around this time.
All right, let's keep talking about Sir Charles, because I have The Gold Rush in there, which is one I feel like when I watched it, I was like, okay, I feel like I've seen this before, or maybe I had just seen like those very famous scenes in it, because there are so many famous scenes in it and so many funny little bits in it. It's classic Chaplin. It's obviously one of the ones that holds up very well. That's why we're still talking about it 100 years later.
And my number 13 is very apropos for the number. It's A Simple Plan, directed by Sam Raimi. It only looks Raimi-ish in a couple of shots, and boy, does it look Raimi-ish then, but what a great Fargo-esque thriller. It's cold, people are desperate, and they're doing very bad things. I didn't know if I would like this movie, but it's so up my alley, and I'm so glad you recommended it.
Yeah, that was one I was really, really excited for, because I knew you were going to love it, despite any reservations you had. And then we had Kevin come on for that episode too, and Kevin enjoyed it as well, so that was very gratifying for me.
We can use this moment to announce that Kevin will be coming back very soon for a very special episode that is not part of season 2, one of our bonus episodes, but one that's very important to us.
My number 12 is a movie that appeared, maybe you didn't put it on your list, but I did Oppenheimer for my number 12.
It was going to be on my list. That's the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But we didn't recommend these for each other. So I guess it probably could have shown up on my list, but you're talking about it. So whatever.
Yeah. I figured we would both be able to rank that one if we wanted to, but yeah, either way, now we can talk about more movies. But yeah, Oppenheimer is a new epic. It's right up there with, I know we talked about The Brutalist in our 2024 rankings, and I think Oppenheimer's, that kind of level, that kind of Godfather era defining type of film. I know there's a lot of complaints about it that it didn't, show the suffering that, this inflicted on the people who lived there. And I agree with that, but I also that's just not what this movie was about. And I don't think this movie needed to be about that at this time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's really only one complainer in chief of that right now. And it's the guy we talked about earlier, James Cameron, just really kicking up a stink about it. I think it's a reasonable complaint. It's just like, that doesn't stop me at all from enjoying the movie. And I think there's a scene in Oppenheimer that gets at what he's feeling about his guilt very well and his fear. If you really hate that happened, then all right, so be it. But modern masterpiece and Nolan's best. And I love Nolan, but it was cool to see him use his style, which has in the past been used, for sci-fi and fantasy, to tell a very straight biopic without any of this, I've talked about this on the show before. I like Dunkirk, but I don't think the 3 timelines thing. When I saw Dunkirk in the theater, I don't think I even registered the 3 timelines or the 3 different time scales. So it was cool to see him do one that did have 2 different timelines happening, but in a much more traditional way. He has said that the black and white is from Oppenheimer's point of view, and the rest is like a story being told about Oppenheimer. I think that's neat, but I also don't think, just like in Dunkirk, I don't think you need it. And the movie works super well without having that in your mind. My number 12 is Jonathan Borman's Deliverance. What a ride. Everyone did their own stunts. Jon Voight wasn't a piece of garbage. Yet, as far as like action movies go, that does have one awful, brutal torture and rape scene. I mean, it doesn't really get much more exciting and thrilling and scary than this movie. Mm-hmm. And I always thought of it as kind of like a horror cliche, and it's just not that at all. It's a great tale of survival, and wow, Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds is fantastic in this, yeah.
And unrecognizable in his young age without any facial hair.
Yeah, he looks so different. All right, let's get this even closer to the top 10. My number 11 is Fritz Lang's M. I really tried to get this in the top 10 because I love this movie. There's so much cool stuff in this movie. Peter Lorre's so amazing in it. No shortage of good things to say about this movie. Just awesome.
My number 11 is Billy Bob Thornton's Sling Blade. So I had a Simple Plan on here. I have Sling Blade on here. It turns out I'm a bigger Billy Bob Thornton fan than I thought I was. And it's kind of a shame that he's like so in television now and not films, because he is a great film actor. He's done, a lot of comedies, some that are good and some that are really bad, but this one's great. And I kind of thought this was going to be like a weepy, boring movie in like the Monsters Ball, like hyper tragedy kind of mold. And I know that they were released together on a DVD, at least. I think that's how you watched it, isn't it?
That is how I watched it, yeah.
But it's not that. It's a pretty down and dirty examination of a really troubled guy and how people are kind to him and how one person not being kind to him ruins everything. I loved it. I'm so glad you made me watch it.
That was another one I was on the bubble for, so I was really happy that it ended up going that way. Number 10, we're into the real good goods now. I have Wong Kar-wai's In the Mood for Love, which is one I very much should have seen. I think that was kind of high on my personal never did it list before we started this whole project, so I was really glad that you'd recommended that. I mean, this is a beautiful movie. It looks amazing. It's acted perfectly. Sofia Coppola owes most of what she does to this movie big time. I know we talked about that a little bit when my wife and Megan and I came on and did the Coppola rankings, but this is an outstanding movie.
Because of the New York Times list that came out, Annie was recently like, I keep hearing about In the Mood for Love. Should we watch In the Mood for Love? I'm like, yeah, we should watch In the Mood for Love. In fact, we should watch a bunch of Wong Kar-wai movies because that's the only one I've ever seen.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I've seen his short from Eros because I watched that for the Soderbergh portion of it, and unfortunately the bad Antonioni portion of it, but the Wong Kar-wai clip is the short is by far the best part of that movie.
We should do something like the New York Times list, or have some kind of, we could do some kind of episode on it.
We're doing it now.
Yeah, that's true.
What this is?
No, I mean, like greatest movies ever sort of thing.
Dream big. Okay, so we're into the top 10, you said? My number 10 is I Am a Fugitive from a Chain Gang. I didn't know anything about this one, and it's based on a true story, and the true story is crazy, and the movie was great. And there's some amazing cinematography that I didn't really expect in a movie that old, because this is like an early talkie. Wow, so good. After we watched The Life of Emile Zola, and I was like, whatever. What a great showcase for Paul Muni, who truly was a deserving star in his time.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. Number 9, a movie I know we disagree about a bit. I know this one for sure. I'm not wrong about this one because we had Professor Richardson on the show for this one as well. My number 9 is The Passion of Joan of Arc, which I think is one of the best silent movies ever made. It's, again, shot really interesting. It's got a very compelling story, a compelling lead performance. But I think you liked this. Were you like 3 stars on this one ish or less?
Joan of Arc was 3. Nosferatu was less.
That's right. Yeah. So Joan of Arc, at least 3. But yeah, Joan of Arc, it's a 5-star for me. Like I said, one of the best silent films ever made.
Yeah. It's not that I dislike the movie. I just couldn't lock in. It's like for you, it's one of those like, wow, what an amazing achievement to do an entire movie in close up and keep you engaged. And it did keep me engaged. To be fair, to you and to the movie. I watched it on my phone because I was on a work trip while I was watching it. I was overseas too. So it was literally the only way I could watch it in time to podcast. You're getting mad at me, but like the whole movie's just in close-ups. Now I have this beautiful television, so maybe I'll give it another shot. My number 9 is 3:10 to Yuma.
What did we just see that in? Didn't we just see it in something? Oh, The Bear. That's right. They're watching in The Bear.
Richie loves classic movies, and he's watching it in The Bear. But yeah, this was directed by Delmer Davies and stars Glenn Ford and Van Hufflin as two guys at war with each other and then not. I like this better than the new one, but I haven't watched the newer one in quite some time, so maybe I will.
I tried to get you when we did this episode.
I just didn't have time.
All right, bringing me to number 8 looks like the highest rated animated movie on my list. That's Grave of the Fireflies. Huge downer. It's a tough one to get through, but it's beautiful. It's the animation is outstanding. The story is really good and really interesting. And it's a top one. That's another one I really should have seen before we did this, but I'm glad you recommended it for me, so I finally had a reason.
I'm pretty annoyed at you now for doing this experiment this way because I have no animated movies on my list because you never recommended animated movies for me.
Because you've seen them all.
Fair enough. And
hard of a time I had coming up with movies from like the 90s and then the 2000s and the 10s and the 20s.
We haven't announced that but let's announce it now. Our next miniseries, season 2, all our seasons from now on are probably going to be miniseries, relatively speaking, is the animation from the last 100 years done by decade. So we're going to do our recommendations for each other from starting with the 1940s, I believe, because feature-length animation didn't really take off until then, through now. We're going to do 9 episodes.
It'd be fun.
My number 8 is Treasure of the Sierra Madre by John Huston, who also appears in the film briefly, but his father appears in the film much more, starring Humphrey Bogart. We talked about Ace in the Hole just like 3 weeks ago, and about how Kirk Douglas makes a great villain, though he didn't do it very much, and Bogart, same. What a great slime ball, even though he didn't do it a ton in his career, and yeah, I loved it. I don't know if I necessarily would have watched it, but it was also, I got to watch it with my father-in-law, which is always really fun to watch a great movie with him.
My number 7 is Bong Joon-ho's Memories of Murder, featuring the best dropkick of any movie that we covered on our list. But yeah, this is a great mystery. It's intriguing, not scary, but like it's tense. I mean, there's just it's just one of the great detective stories. I think Zodiac owes a lot to this movie. It's top tier Bong.
Zodiac, I think Prisoners too takes a lot of the vibe from amazing movie. I'm glad you liked it, although I wasn't really in doubt. You tend to like Bong a little more than me in general, so I wasn't totally surprised. Although, Parasite excluded. Maybe even Snowpiercer excluded.
Well, in the case of Mickey 17, you like it more than I do.
Just by a little. I don't like Mickey 17 very much. My number 7 is The Searchers, a movie that, just speaking of my father-in-law, he had asked me to watch a bunch, and then I finally got to it because of your recommendation, and I got to see it on the big screen at the Film Forum, which was really cool. Great movie about a racist guy that is actually, John Ford movie that is dealing with racism in a way that I don't think people give it credit for. I think people think the character is racist and we're supposed to just accept it, but I don't think the characters in the movie are accepting it. He's a bad person. And John Wayne is a bad guy. He's not the villain, but he is a villainous guy. And it's just cool to see these archetypal heroes play shitty people taking a chance in their careers.
I love those kind of movies too. We just talked about Collateral, and that's kind of got the same sort of thing with Tom Cruise playing that villainous role where he's usually such a heroic. I mean, for the most part, he's got his interview with the vampire and some other stuff too. But for the most part, he's a big heroic action star. So like it's stuff like that. I mean, when actors still do stuff like that, it's near Tom Hanks did Road to Perdition and stuff like that. Yeah, it's cool when they step out of their normal boxes.
Keep going. Number 6.
Number 6, Robert Altman's The Player. Another one I'm so glad I finally watched. Just an amazing, the opening is amazing, and then the movie just continues to be amazing right after that. Probably Tim Robbins' best performance. Just a lot of really, really cool stuff in this movie. I haven't seen a lot of Robert Altman movies, but I think this is my favorite one.
I've seen several, and this is my favorite one. And I've seen his TV shows, and this is still my favorite one. My number 6 is The Father. Wow, I did not want to watch this. I was very nervous about it. It was a little bit different from what I feared about it, but still hit home a lot. Yeah, my dad got sick again, so I'm glad I watched this before that happened. But yeah, to me, I was like, oh, Hopkins turning in a career best performance right at the end. I mean, I don't know if it's the end. He might keep going, but like for a guy who was doing like Transformers and crap like that, who thought it might be over for him, and nope, he still got it.
Yeah, if he wants to turn it on, there's very few who can do it as well as he can.
I was thinking about, you mentioned, they saved Best Actor for last because they thought Boseman was going to win it that year. What a stupid thing to do, to just like completely buck tradition on something that wasn't for sure. Why would they do that?
It was just a really bad idea. It was the pandemic. People were throwing shit against the wall to see what would stick,
Ugh,
it's a mistake they haven't repeated that one, though. It's like, just put Best Picture on last. There's some things you don't need to mess with.
What an awful stain on Hopkins, who he for sure didn't think he was going to win either, so he
He
didn't
wasn't even
show up.
there. It is a bummer, yeah, but to me, it's an amazing performance and a great movie.
On a long enough timeline, everyone will forget about it. Not the performance, the Oscar.
Right. Right. Yeah. Brings us to, we're into the top 5 now. Another one. This was a big never did it for me that I should have seen before this is Lawrence of Arabia. I mean, what more needs to be said about this? One of the classic all-time movies, one of Spielberg's favorite movies. The cinematography is, some of the best ever. Peter O'Toole is amazing in this. This is a great one. I'm so happy I finally crossed it off my list.
Big thanks to Riley Trahan for joining us on that episode. I think he provided a lot of interesting commentary on both of the movies that we covered, that and The Manchurian Candidate. I love the episodes where I can remember what the two movies were. Okay, my number 5 is The Look of Silence. So this is Joshua Oppenheimer's second documentary about the the fallout of the mass killings in Indonesia in the 60s and the scar that they left on the country until today. I didn't like the first one as much, the act of killing, because it turns out I watched the director's cut, which was just way too long. I didn't know that I was doing that. I would love to go back and watch the theatrical cut sometime, but it's such a dark subject matter. I don't think I ever will. The Look of Killing, I thought, was really tightly constructed about an eye doctor who uses his occupation as a way of confronting people who killed his family during that time in Indonesian history. And the fact that this is a documentary and not a drama is crazy because the story is wild. He made his first narrative film. He made a musical last year that apparently wasn't very good. I haven't seen it because the reviews are bad. So I hope he gets back into documentary filmmaking.
Yeah, I'd like to see that one kind of still just because of him, but yeah, that's clearly not a priority. Number 4 for me is The Last Picture Show, Peter Bogdanovich's not debut, second movie? This was the second movie, yeah. It's somebody on Letterboxd, I saw a review that was No Country for Young Men, and that was such a great descriptor of it. I keep hanging on to that. That's like one of the best one-line descriptions of a movie I've seen. I mean, the 4 leads in this, the principals are all just outstanding. It's one of the best movies about young people living in a town that has nothing for them. Just great. I need to rewatch that one. I've been thinking about it a lot actually since I've seen it. Of all the movies we watched, I think about this one quite a bit.
That's my number 1 movie of all of Never Did It.
Oh wow.
I had it ranked at number 1 when I thought this was a different exercise.
Yeah.
And it's one of my top 5 movies of all time. I think Peter Bogdanovich is absolutely one of the greats. His first movie, Targets, is not my favorite, but it's an interesting debut. It's a meta movie. Jack Nicholson appears, but not in Targets, in a movie that's used in Targets. It's very strange the way that Nicholson appears in the movie, but worth checking out. But just, I don't know, some people love it. But Last Picture Show and Paper Moon, I think, are 2 of the greatest movies of all time. I'm glad it ends up so high on your list. And now it's my turn. My number 4 is Singing in the Rain. Gene Kelly's Singing in the Rain. I saw this after I saw Babylon, which is not how most people did that, but it might be how a lot of people do it from now on. Babylon is hugely indebted to Singing in the Rain. It takes a lot of its structure from Singing in the Rain, and then it puts clips from Singing in the Rain at the end of it. And I'm glad that I was able to put a musical in here, but it's just this is the height of Gene Kelly's power, and he is so powerful. He's over 9,000. And it's so funny. It's an incredibly funny movie. So if you haven't seen it because you're maybe a little bit allergic to musicals, this is the cure for that allergy.
This one is on my daughter's going to film school this summer with Professor Dad, and Singing in the Rain will definitely be one of the movies that she covers. It's such a great musical. My number 3 is a film I think you hadn't seen either, but you hadn't seen any movies from this year, so you found Make Way for Tomorrow, or Make Way for Tamari, as it would more commonly be known. This movie is just beautiful and heartbreaking, and the performances are amazing, and the story is so good, and the interaction with the children and the relationships that they have is just all good. And then that last 20-25 minutes of it is just some of the best movie I've ever seen. It's this is great. I'm so glad you discovered it for us and had us watch it.
I'm happy you said all that. I agree. When I thought this was a different exercise, this was probably my number 2. It's very hard to find this movie. We watched a bootleg version of it. I no longer have to do that because I picked up the Blu-ray from Criterion because they're having a half-off sale at Barnes & Noble right now. I highly recommend you go to barnesandnoble.com. Pick this up. It'll never be cheaper to own it on Blu-ray. Are there any cool special features? Peter Bogdanovich doing an interview about the movie. So, hey man, it's a great movie. It deserves to be owned. It deserves to be seen. It is so underseen. Other great movies on our list, something that's about to come up for me, are very similar to it, the same kind of vibe. Yeah, it really resonated. It's a 5-star film. I mean, a little schmaltzy, but one thing it has going for it, and I didn't even know I loved it at the time, but Thomas Mitchell is in this movie. He was in all of our favorite movies of the year that Mr. Smith Goes to Washington came out, but didn't know I loved him yet, and then I saw him in this, and he's great, and all, oh man, I'm rambling, because it's so good. My number 3 is Marty. Marty, which I only knew by reputation because of how much I love the movie Quiz Show. Because of you, I was able to watch this Delbert Man movie, which stars Ernest Borgnine in his finest hour. I mean, we watched From Here to Eternity, where he plays a very different kind of character, but this story of him being like sort of a sad schlub who just wants to be in love, but he feels like he's too fat and ugly. To me, it's a perfect movie, and I'm happy I watched it, and I understand why John Turturro, who's not Jewish, playing a Jewish man in Quiz Show, was so mad that he was forced to lose his fake quiz show on the answer being Marty.
Yeah, they did him dirty. My number 2 is John Ford's Stagecoach. This was one we kind of added at the last minute to the podcast. You had seen it for... Why had you watched it? You had just seen it for something, right?
I wasn't sure if I wanted to recommend Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
That's
so
right.
I watched Stagecoach, and I was like, holy crap, this is really good. So we did both.
That's right. Yeah. And I'm glad that we did because both had been on my list for a while. And they're both, very famous by reputation. Stagecoach is one of Ford's best. I might like The Searchers a little bit more. That one I had discovered earlier has been with me for longer, have a little bit more attachment to. But this movie is on an equal footing with that one. There's just a lot of great little subplots in that movie. John Wayne's kind of giving his first, real excellent performance here. This one just kind of knocked me out. I mean, I figured it would be good. It's got, obviously, like I said, it's got a good reputation and it's Ford and everything. So I know that, but it kind of bowled me over with how good it was and how interesting it was and how different it was for what I would expect a movie from the 30s to be like.
I think we went into the 30s kind of with low expectations and then got high rewards, especially for the American films that came out that year. Wildly high quality movies. And now I understand why people call this the golden age or the beginning of the golden age. My number 2 is a movie that's a lot like Make Way for Tomorrow. It's The Best Years of Our Lives. I don't have this one on Blu-ray yet. I'm going to get it very soon. We talked about it recently, so I don't feel like I have that much to say. Go back. It's just a couple weeks old, our episode, or a few weeks old, our episode about The Best Years of Our Lives, but a really bittersweet tale of 3 World War II veterans coming home to different lives that they're not quite ready for after getting very used to their lives overseas and the tragedies that happened to them overseas. Progressive for its time. I think like really groundbreaking for what it was talking about. Just like an absolute must see.
And this was another one I had remembered. I hadn't seen it in a long time and I remembered being very good, but it was another one that just knocked me out when I watched it over again. Like I'd forgotten it was this good. Yeah, it's an all-timer. Speaking of all-timers, yes, my number 1 is a movie I know that you love also, of course, and that's why you recommended it for me. It is called Ikiru by Akira Kurosawa. Gorgeous movie remade it and called it Living. And that's, kind of what this movie's about.
Starring Bill Nighy and Amy Lou Wood.
It's really good.
It's really good. It's a very faithful and yet, different enough adaptation. It sort of ditches the Japanese sensibility, obviously, and it's very British. And I think, every culture could do this because none of us are kind enough to the older sort of ignored folks in our lives, which is, a theme in Make Way for Tomorrow. Clearly like that. I forgot, this is sort of a last minute honorable mention just because I had forgotten that you recommended it for me, but Schindler's List should have been somewhere in this list and didn't make it. Great movie. It's not here, but it should have been anyway. So maybe it's kind of a tie because that was just an oversight on my opinion. And also you've heard of it, but my number 1 is not a depressing movie. It's a very lighthearted, uplifting movie, and it's Muriel's Wedding. It's the only movie that I've watched multiple times since we did it for the podcast. I just love it. Toni Collette, it's her breakout role, and she's so funny in it. Everyone is so funny in it. It's incredibly Australian, but not in like a gritty Ozploitation way, in like these goofy Australians kind of way. And it's one that's like super, super rewatchable, so quotable.
And it's her. I cannot wait to tell her actually that this was your favorite movie that I recommend because this is literally like her favorite movie of all time that she's seen more than probably any other movie, and she watches like probably 8 or 10 times a year or something. So
yeah,
she's gonna be thrilled. You'll make her night.
She's got good taste. It's a great one. So that's it for our lists. Let's go over a few stats. Who do we recommend for each other the most? Some interesting stats. 1, we did not review any films from certain years because of Jake's funny rules. That would be 1929, 1961, and 1976. So we will one day redo those years with real Never Did It episodes. In fact, we could redo also the years 1943, 1956, 1965, 68, 70, 87, 95, 04, 09, 13, and 15, because we only did one movie from each of those years, but whatever. The priority eventually will be to do those 3 that we didn't actually do any movies from. Our most viewed cast members. Number 5, Porter Hall, who is just like a small character actor in a bunch of movies from the 40s and 30s. He was in Ace in the Hole, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Make Way for Tomorrow, His Girl Friday, and Double Indemnity. Not a name that you know, right? We have a few people who we hit 4 times. Kevin Bacon just because, I mean, the Kevin Bacon game is real for a reason. Walter Matthau, because I forced him on you. Thomas Mitchell, because we hit 3 in 1 year for him. And
actually, one of the Matthau's was from me to you because I gave you JFK.
Fair enough. I mean, and it's only a cameo, but what a great cameo.
Yeah, one of the best parts of the movie.
Seriously, one of the most serious monologues he's ever done, and he's only in the movie for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Thomas Mitchell was in 3 movies. He was in Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, Stagecoach, On with the Wind, and then also, like we said, Make Way for Tomorrow. And then Ray Collins was another like character actor who's in The Best Years of Our Lives, Magnificent Ambersons, which we didn't like, Touch of Evil, and Citizen Kane. I mean, he shows up a lot because he was part of Orson Welles' troupe. And then Mike Mazurski, which is ironic because he was a pro wrestler before he was an actor. And we just happened to randomly watch 4 of his movies, which were Nightmare Alley, obviously, Some Like It Hot, Samson and Delilah, and Night in the City, which is a wrestling movie. So that would make sense.
There's one more
Nobuo Nakamura, who was in a bunch of Kurosawa and Ozu movies. And so we saw him in 3 Kurosawa movies and an Ozu movie.
So a bunch of folks that we had in 3 movies. We were just talking about John Wayne a little bit with Stagecoach. We saw 3 John Wayne movies. We saw Jane Birkin in 3 movies. Jack Nicholson, we had 3. We had 3 Toni Collette movies. Robert Duvall was in 3. 3 Buster Keatons and Charlie Chaplins. 3 with Orson Welles. Clark Gable with 3. Chris Cooper. Jack Warden. Angela Lansbury, Mia Farrow, Janet Leigh, Michael Douglas, of course, the mascot of this whole show. Mark Pellegrino was in 3 of the films we watched, as was Dennis Franz. Philip Bosco was also in 3. Oh, Brent Briscoe, he's a great character actor. He showed up in 3 of our movies. Bruce Greenwood, another great character actor. George Kennedy showed up in 3. So yeah, we had quite a few really cool actors. Oh, Jack Lemmon, that was another great one. We had
there we go.
3. Yeah,
that's what I was waiting for. I'm like, we did Matthau in 4. Of course, we did Lemmon in 3.
Of course.
I'm ready to start a Lemon, do what I did for Matthau for Lemon. I'm ready.
Oh, yeah. That would be fun.
All right, so hit us with some directors. Who did we talked about this a few weeks ago, but I bet nobody remembers. So who were our most watched directors?
Well, the most by far, well, not by far, but there's one name at the top. That's Alfred Hitchcock. We did 5 of those. We did Spellbound, The Man Who Knew Too Much, the original one, Dial M for Murder, Psycho, and Lifeboat. So we covered, certainly hit some of his high points there. We had a couple directors who we had 4. There were 2 of those. We had Billy Wilder. We did 4 movies with. We did Ace in the Hole, Some Like It Hot, Sunset Boulevard, and Double Indemnity. Again, really hitting some of the high points of his filmography. And then we also ended up doing 4 Orson Welles films. I think I've recommended all of them for you. Because I had seen them all at repertory screenings, and when I lived in Omaha, they'd done like a whole Orson Welles week, so I had gotten to see all these. We did Magnificent Ambersons, which is crazy disappointing. F for Fake, which is not great but interesting, and then 2 of my favorite movies, Touch of Evil and Citizen Kane.
Right, and then we hit Woody Allen, of course. We did 3. We did Crimes and Misdemeanors, Hannah and Her Sisters, and Bullets Over Broadway. We split those. Federico Fellini, which were All You, 8.5, La Dolce Vita, and La Strada. We did 3 Powell and Pressburgers, Colonel Blimp, Red Shoes, and we just did the other one. Matter of Life and Death.
I wanted to say Stairway to Heaven, but I knew that wasn't right.
Nope. Well, it's sort of right.
Well, yeah, in its way.
We did 3 Murnaus. We did Faust and Nosferatu and
Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans.
That Song of Two Humans. Yep. Really cool movies, man. Murnau, what an interesting filmography. We did 3 Howard Hawks movies, Girl Friday, Bringing Up Baby, and Ball of Fire. We split those. And then we did like the 3 Chaplins, which we talked about, and the 3 Capras, which were the schmaltzy Mr. Smith Goes to Capra almost did 4 because I almost recommended It's a Wonderful Life. But we did You Can't Take It With You. It Happened One Night. And Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oliver Stone, we did 3.
All of
which was I recommended for you. Yeah, we did Platoon, Wall Street, and JFK.
And then a bunch of guys we did with 2, which was just David Lean, Akira Kurosawa, Tamara Jenkins, but we ranked all her movies. Isao Takahata. Surprisingly, we did 2 Takahatas and no Miyazakis because
we've seen them.
We've seen them, but you hadn't seen the Takahatas, so I got to recommend those for you. Takahata, my favorite animation director. Josef von Sternberg, Michael Mann, John Ford, John Landis, Peter Bogdanovich, Buster Keaton, Jack Kinney, Cecil B. DeMille, David Lynch, Rob Reiner, Robert Altman, Ernst Lubitsch, and Josh Oppenheimer. I'm really curious to do that when we do the miniseries. Is what those will be.
Can I hit one more thing on the stats page before we? Yeah, I just want to hit the highs and lows real quick. The highest average rated movie we watched was Stop Making Sense, which has a 4.7. Lowest average was Hulk Hogan's No Holds Barred with a shockingly high 2.3. The most popular film we did was Barbie. The most obscure film was the Haley Mills Only Once in the Moon Spinners. The newest film by the Letterboxd release date is Juror Number 2, which we just covered in the 2024 episode. The oldest is Nosferatu, which originally came out in 1922, but we covered for 1929 when it came to the States. The longest film was Zack Snyder's Justice League at 242 minutes. And then the shortest was when we had to do Saludos Amigos at 42 minutes.
So funny thing about Nosferatu is it technically wouldn't have qualified for Never Did It at all, because we started in 23 had it not come out so late in the States. The other 4-hour movie we watched beyond Justice League was Once Upon a Time in the West, or Once Upon a Time in America.
Yeah, which was very good. I really liked that one a lot.
Yeah, and you liked Justice League so much.
No, that's not true.
Don't lie, you
That's
loved it.
not accurate.
Okay, so we're going to take a little break. We're going to get our animation series together, and so that we don't miss any weeks in between. We didn't miss a single week while we were posting these 100 episodes. Now, we've done one other stat for you. I know this episode's long. If you made it this far, we both love you. In the time that we've done these 102 years official episodes, we also did 19 bonus episodes. So we did 18 bonus episodes. We did 120 episodes of Never Did It so far, and we've never missed a week. We're going to miss a few weeks now so that we can come back and never miss a week while we're doing our mini series. So we'll be back. I don't know if we're going to come back with our, I'll just say it now, our 40-year-old virgin 20-year retrospective episode with guest Kevin Ford, or with our animation series, during which we're going to be bringing on a lot of guests. We have 4 guests lined up already. We hope to have a few more in this 9-episode series. I'm really excited for it. I know Jake is too. So we'll see you in just a few weeks for more Never Did It. And thank you so much for listening to all of these. It's been a lot of fun for us. It's been cool to see our audience increase as time has gone on. I didn't expect that. I thought we would hit a mark and then decrease. Thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.